Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Well, thousands of Tasmanian students are back in the classroom as schools reopen after months of coronavirus uncertainty. Those facing exams this year are doing their best to adjust to the new normal. There were smiles, laughter, but no hugs as kids were at last reunited with friends in the playground. Here's a special report from Sean McComish and Ebony Ablett, first to primary schools.
So happy to be back, they were shouting it out.
Welcome back! I've been waiting. Oh, my God!
At the state's biggest primary school in Riverside, the long wait was finally over. Staff could barely contain their joy as familiar faces flooded in. A cold morning to be queued up in traffic, but nobody was missing a sleep-in.
Nice early start again.
Relief for parents who've juggled work and homeschool.
I'm pretty excited because they're pretty excited as well. It's going to be a bit of a different day though than what it has been for the last 10 weeks, yeah.
A recess so long some couldn't even remember the last time they were in class.
Seeing people for the first time in ages.
I'm looking forward to seeing my friends, and I'm also looking forward to seeing all the teachers and learning again, because it was kind of different when we were being homeschooled because you couldn't actually see anybody.
Day 1 of Term 2 2020 was unlike any other. The message, don't mingle, just stop, drop and go. Students were funnelled through select gates. For teachers, it was a reminder about what makes their job so special.
It's very heartening sometimes when students all come up to you and say, hey, Mrs. Boville, this has just been the best day, or I've just learnt something.
Classes will be cleaned more often. Students will be reminded regularly to wash hands, but kids can still be kids.
Children will still be sitting next to each other. Children will still be playing with each other, just that there'll be some slight changes.
Teachers were so excited about primary students returning to school today, they came in over the weekend and painted a giant welcome back rainbow. It was also a big day for Year 11 and 12 students across the state. Here's Ebony Ablett.
Thanks, Sean. It's a crucial time for students reaching the end of their pre-tertiary education, the added stress of exams and decisions about their future. Students here at Farn are relieved to be back.
It was definitely challenging, but I think we're all excited to get back to school, so it made the process a little bit easier.
Here, excitement in the air too, at school drop-off with a difference. Friends reunited after weeks apart, being educated remotely since March in their all-important final year of schooling.
Initially, the withdrawal from school was actually quite a sad one. They have lost a lot of events and happenings that would normally be part of a Year 12 student's life.
The move online described as challenging in the vital months before exams, thinking outside the classroom to continue a normal assessment routine.
Art, those design and technology subjects and science, where they really did need some, they really needed that practical experience to keep going. They were all boxed up and delivered to the girls' homes.
The bus drivers actually have been delivering us all of this equipment at home. So last week we had some algae delivered and we were able to do a biology experiment.
Students say they're excited to be back with their friends and in their classrooms, even with strict distancing measures in place. Remaining cautiously optimistic about the months ahead as they near the end of their schooling experience.
We're obviously all really conscious of the fact that we can't go up and hug each other, but yeah, it's just so nice seeing them in person. It's so different over Zoom.
I think it'll be okay. I think everyone will be working really hard to maintain a sense of normality and that sort of thing.
Years 7 to 10 are set to return across the state on June 9.
Well, now to the recovery plan. An advisory council has started working out the first steps to rebuilding Tasmania's economy. Its focus is on jobs, but the task force has been urged to think outside the box to identify new industries to lead us out of the crisis.
Planning Tasmania's economic comeback.
We have a big job in front of us, a significant job, but rebuilding a stronger Tasmania has to be our aim.
The newly formed Economic and Social Recovery Advisory Council meeting today to work out how the state recovers from the pandemic shutdown. Its focus, getting Tasmanians back into work.
Return them, their families and our communities to as normal a state as we possibly can as quickly as we can.
The group made up of those from the social service, tourism, business and infrastructure sectors, tasked with identifying a recovery plan, areas of employment growth and emerging industries, and heading into an uncertain future. Others say it's these new areas of growth we need to focus on.
New markets, new industries, new ways of working, new ways of using digital and other technologies to make the economy tick over.
Green jobs, green skills, forest and landscape restoration, sustainable agriculture, on-farm renewables and a housing-led recovery.
What we want to see is more than a sugar hit approach in terms of short-term stimulus. We need a strategic vision for the state that we can get around and that we can support. It is about diversifying the Tasmanian economy.
But the experts say it's unlikely the state will ever return to exactly how it once was.
It will take some time for Tasmanians, like Australians elsewhere in the country, to figure out what normal is and how quickly we're going to get to it.
A revised construction and infrastructure program for the state is due out next week. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
There's a positive milestone in Tasmania's coronavirus fight, with the last known active case in the northern region cleared. There are now no confirmed active cases in the north or south and just 10 in the northwest. There are currently 4 people being treated in hospital related to coronavirus. Almost 25,000 tests have been completed, and authorities continue to call for anyone with flu-like symptoms to come forward for testing. 3 youths, one just 13, have been charged with arson following a fire which destroyed a unit in East Devonport. Police believe the blaze on Wright Street was deliberately lit, causing more than $180,000 in damage. Thankfully, the occupants of the property were away at the time. The 3 accused have been bailed to appear in the youth court at a later date. A 32-year-old Hobart man has been charged following an alleged robbery at a chemist on Saturday afternoon. Police say a male and female demanded drugs from the Terry White pharmacy at Sandy Bay before making off on foot with medication. Investigations into the incident are continuing. Tas Networks and Tas Water have begun reading meters again after fears of community transmission put the practice on hold. For more on what this means for customers, we're joined by reporter Tom Johnson. Good evening, Tom. Now, what should we expect from our next bills?
Good evening, Kim. Well, what we'll have is an adjusted total. So for the past 2 months, Tas Networks and Tas Water have simply been estimating usage by going off historical data. And the idea, of course, has been to limit exposure to coronavirus in the community. From today, meter reading is resuming, so when our next bill comes, we'll pay the true amount of what we've used over this last period. For more on this, let's hear from Tas Network CEO Lance Balcombe.
Essentially what happens is any bill that's been subject to a previous estimate, there'll be an accurate read at the next time of the next read, and it'll all balance out, so no customer will be disadvantaged.
It should be noted meter reading won't be happening at all properties. Tas Networks and Tas Water won't be visiting aged care homes, doctors' surgeries, hospitals or places where there may be vulnerable people. They also won't be checking meters which are inside homes. Now, we're being asked to do our bit by leaving gates open when our meters are due to be read, and of course by keeping that safe social distance as well, Kim.
Hey, thank you, Tom, and also making sure the dogs are restrained, huh? Thanks, Tom. The stoush has erupted between the Glenorchy Mayor and the Macquarie Point developers over the future of a light rail corridor. Christy Johnston says a new access road through the site could hinder the proposed public transport network connecting the northern suburbs to the CBD. But the Macquarie Point boss says both ideas will work together.
The access road does not and will not impede any ability for any transit corridor to operate. It will not impede any different modes of transport.
We are development ready. We have people with shovels in the ground at the moment, but we need to activate the rail corridor. And then to see such a wasted opportunity at Macquarie Point, putting a showstopper on our development in the northern suburbs is incredibly frustrating.
A 2016 report found a light rail service would not be economically feasible, but the state government has committed to preserving the corridor. Police have reignited pleas for information on one of Tasmania's oldest unsolved cases. Eve Askew went missing as a teenager in 1990, and the head of the investigation believes someone knows the secrets behind her disappearance.
When 14-year-old Eve Askew went missing from her family home nearly 3 decades ago, for 5 years police treated it as a missing persons case.
Eve had been grounded by her parents, and it appears at the time Eve had left a note to her parents.
Now the lead investigator believes the circumstances surrounding her disappearance may be more sinister.
I believe that there are members of the community who are aware of what happened to Eve.
Since 1991, teams have conducted substantial searches around the Derwent Valley, including Fitzgerald, Medina and Karanja. So far, all have proved fruitless.
At the moment, the case is open but not currently being investigated.
Sadly, Eve's parents died in 1996, never knowing what happened to their daughter. Authorities are now turning to the public for help, making the cold case the focus of International Missing Children's Day.
I'd seek that people would contact us if they think that it's maybe relevant, and we can make that determination.
There are currently 10 kids unaccounted for in Tasmania, including Eve.
Her birthday would have been tomorrow, and she would be about 43 years of age now.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmanian News.
Well, as we go to air tonight, the Hobart City Council has been discussing the fate of this year's iconic Taste of Tasmania. We're joined live now by our reporter Michelle Wisby, who's monitoring the council meeting. Good evening, Michelle. Now, do we know yet whether the festival will go ahead?
Kim, it's still unclear if we'll be able to celebrate at the Taste this year. The council is meeting as we speak, discussing if it will follow its officer's recommendation to cancel the event due to coronavirus uncertainty. It hasn't yet come to a decision, but there will be an outcome later tonight, with aldermen voting on what to do next. Over the weekend, we saw the Premier hit back at the council, saying the event shouldn't be scrapped and there is still a way it can go forward in a new, safer form. We've also heard today yet another event has been cancelled due to coronavirus. The Cygnet Folk Festival confirmed it won't go ahead next year, as Kim organisers have also cited uncertainty for their decision.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Michelle, for an update. A Tasmanian community is pleading for information following the theft of a life-saving piece of equipment. A defibrillator was stolen from a toilet block in Randalls Bay in the state's far south last week. The equipment is worth $2,500 and can potentially save the life of someone suffering a cardiac arrest.
We couldn't understand why anyone would want to take it, because it's not much use to anyone unless it's for personal use. It can't be resold. We had our Friends of Randalls Bay Coast Care etched into it.
A local Bendigo bank branch is offering to replace the stolen item. Information can be passed on anonymously to Crime Stoppers. Hydro Tasmania is launching a new round of community grants to help aid volunteer groups and not-for-profit organisations impacted by coronavirus. Past grant recipient, the South Hobart Tip Shop, using funds received to assist with efforts to reopen to the public, closed since March due to pandemic restrictions.
Looking after those customers, so there will be sanitizer on the counter. We're putting screens in to protect everybody, and we're enforcing and informing people about that distancing requirement.
We're really looking for specific projects that target positive outcomes from any impacts they've had from the COVID-19 crisis.
Grants of up to $10,000 are available for eligible organisations. More information is available on Hydro Tasmania's website. Well, Collingwood and Essendon could be the latest clubs to compete on Tasmanian soil. The AFL fixtures boss says both sides are likely to contest some matches at smaller grounds like Geelong or even here. The last time the Bombers played in Tasmania was in 1992 against Fitzroy at North Hobart Oval. The move here would be a first for Collingwood. A local football league in the northwest has become the first in the state to call off its season. The Darwin Football Association, which includes teams from Burnie to Queenstown, says running a competition without crowds would put too much financial pressure on clubs and the league. The association is aiming to return next year.
Good evening. I hope you enjoyed the minor cold snap over the past 24 hours. A promise of things to come, I guess. Hobart and Burnie just 11 today, Launceston and Devonport 13. Temperatures ranged from -8 at Lyowini to our top of 15 on King Island. Flinders Island 14 today, Smithton, Lowhead and Lyowini 13, St Helens and Strawn 12, Grove 11, Friendly Beaches and Ouse 10. Low cloud extended across the east and southeast of Tasmania, the rest of the state mostly clear. The cloud over the Tasman Sea is linked to a low pressure zone, and cloud ahead of a cold front is crossing Western Australia, followed by a large area of cold air. Tomorrow the high moves to the southeast of Tasmania. A cold front crosses the Bight as others gather further west. North to northeasterly winds tomorrow, lighter over the east coast at first, but increasing to 20 to 30 knots later, swells at 2 metres. We have a strong wind warning for the northwest from Sandy Cape to Stanley, and also a few frost warnings for those regions you see there. Severe frost warning for the Derwent Valley. Forecast for Hobart tomorrow, a top of 15 and mostly sunny. Sunny for Adventure Bay, 13 the high, -2 overnight for Tarraleah. 14 the top for Launceston after an early frost. Devonport, maybe a light shower, 14 the top and 14 for Bridport. Burnie tomorrow, 14 the maximum, light showers developing. Sunny though for Strawn on 14, partly cloudy for Marrawar with 14 degrees. 14 also for St Helens and cloudy, partly cloudy for Swansea and Whitemart, both on 15. To Wednesday now, and showers over the north and developing over the west in the afternoon. A few light showers on Thursday, but fine over the south and east, while on Friday, fine apart from another light shower over the north and west. A shower or two in Perth tomorrow. Cloudy weather forecast for Adelaide, sunny for Melbourne and Brisbane, and showers easing from Sydney. Clear at the moment in Hobart. It's 5 degrees though, 8 degrees in Launceston and partly cloudy, clear in Devonport and currently 6. A few more people chipping ice off the windscreens tomorrow, Kim.
And that's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.